15 years ago, my ex husband cheated on me with a childhood friend and even had a child with her, so we got divorced. Even after the divorce, I was harassed by his affair partner, which eventually forced me to quit my job. When I was at my lowest, my current husband saved me, and we built a happy family and lived peacefully. However, that happiness was short lived. After 15 years, I unexpectedly ran into my ex husband who had abandoned me.
I bet you're still single, huh? No one wants to marry an infertile woman, right?
You still can't say anything nice, can you?
Unlike someone I know, my son is cute like his mom.
Looking at me with a smug smile, I responded, "Oh, really? He is indeed very cute. By the way, let me introduce you to my child." I introduced my son, and my ex husband's smile faded, and he began to tremble. My name is Karen Wilson, and I am 38 years old this year. I live with my 13-year-old son, Alex, my 11-year-old daughter, Haley, and my husband of the same age, Josh. Alex, who is in the first year of middle school, is in the midst of his rebellious phase. Recently, he has been quite cheeky, and it's been challenging to deal with him. But when he gets too out of hand, my husband Josh steps in and disciplines him firmly. My daughter Haley loves makeup and clothes and is quite fashionable. As the youngest daughter, she knows how to be sweet and charming. Alex, who adores his sister Haley, panics whenever she says, "If you're not nice to mom, I won't like you anymore." He immediately responds, Sorry, look, I'll be nice to mom, okay?" He's straightforward and always lightens the mood, making him the jokester of the family, living happily, even with all the noise and chaos. But actually, I've been married before, and Josh is my second husband. Due to my ex husband's vile betrayal, we ended up divorcing. It was 15 years ago, and my ex husband Brian and I were college sweethearts. We had many mutual friends who blessed our relationship, and everything seemed to be going perfectly. Shortly after getting married, we both talked about wanting children. "I want kids soon," we'd say. "It would be fun to match outfits with our kids." However, things didn't go as planned, and a year passed without any luck. Every month when my period came, the tension between us grew. Neither of us was happy with our strained relationship, so we had many discussions and spent a lot of money on treatments to find out the cause of our infertility. However, we were told there were no abnormalities, and it didn't improve our relationship. At first, Brian was supportive and cooperative, but as time passed without us having a child, he became frustrated and his attitude towards me changed. He started making loud, snide comments like, "I wonder when I'll finally get to be a dad." It was as if he was blaming me for not having a child. He stopped helping with the housework altogether, leaving all the cooking, cleaning, and laundry to me. When I asked, "Why did you suddenly stop helping with the housework? You used to help," he replied, "Since you're infertile, the least you can do is the housework. Otherwise, there's no point in being married." Brian's words became increasingly hurtful.
My sister and her husband are expecting their second child. Isn't that great? They've already got two, and we don't even have one, right?
He would glare at me with a harsh look, mocking and belittling me.
If you were normal, I'd be a dad by now.
"That's not fair. We don't even know the cause yet. How can you say I'm not normal?" But Brian insisted infertility is always the woman's fault. "Didn't you know that? If I had known you were infertile, I wouldn't have married you. You should feel bad about this." His words pierced my heart. On top of that, his parents started calling, saying, "We want to see our grandchild soon." At first, I would brush it off, saying things like, It's only been a year. It's something you receive when the time is right. However, that didn't help, and my mother in law's attitude became harsher. She started saying, "You're useless because you can't even have a child. My daughter had a baby right away. You're the only defective one." I felt the pressure every day. One day, my best friend Emily invited me out for drinks after a long time. Brian had been claiming he was busy with work and spending less time at home, so I thought it would be good to take a break and accepted her invitation. Emily then revealed a shocking truth to me.
I've been wanting to see you. There's something I need to tell you, Karen.
I've been wanting to see you too. So, what is it?
Karen, do you remember Jenna?
Jenna was Brian's childhood friend. They grew up close to each other and their families were friends. Jenna attended the same college as us and now works at the same company as me. She got the job because her father is the president of the company I work for. During college, we weren't particularly close because we were in different clubs and faculties. And at work, we're in different departments, so we rarely interacted. Brian introduced her to me once, saying, "This is my girlfriend, be nice to her." But Jenna glared at me with sharp eyes, so I tried to avoid her as much as possible. Jenna was tall and very beautiful, so much so that she participated in beauty contests during college. As the president's daughter and a beauty, she was somewhat famous within the company. Jenna? Oh, Brian's childhood friend? Yeah, I know her. She's beautiful. We work at the same company now, but we don't really interact. What's up with Jenna?
Well, this is hard to say, but I think Jenna and your husband are having an affair.
Wait, is that? Emily's warning hit me like a bolt of lightning.
I saw them the other day. They were holding hands and walking together. It didn't look like just friends.
There's no way.
I think you should check it out. If anything happens, you can always talk to me, okay?
Thanks for telling me. Brian is cheating on me. I had a feeling. His attitude towards me was terrible, and he came home late every day, claiming he had overtime. On weekends, he said he had business events and wasn't at home. I had my suspicions, but I pretended not to notice. That day, after parting ways with Karen, I headed straight to a detective agency. The reason, of course, was to gather evidence of Brian's affair. Within a week, I had all the proof I needed, but I wasn't ready to decide on a divorce. No matter how terrible he was someone I once vowed to spend my life with. I couldn't decide immediately. A few days later, I came home to find Brian, who was usually late, sitting at the dining table. Oh, you're home.
Yeah.
You're usually late, so I thought you'd be late today too. I tried to sound sarcastic.
Yeah, sorry. We need to talk.
Given what Karen had told me about the affair, I had a bad feeling.
I want a divorce.
What do you mean? So that's how it is. I realized that Brian wasn't just having fun with Jenna. He was serious.
Jenna is pregnant, so I'm going to marry her.
Jenna, she's your childhood friend, right? You said you were just friends. And now she's pregnant? You've been having an affair?
Stop calling it an affair. It makes me sound like the bad guy. It couldn't be helped, right? Jenna can actually get pregnant. She's beautiful, and really, there's no reason for me to choose you over her.
Brian's unapologetic attitude stunned me. He didn't feel guilty at all. I was too shocked to speak. Seeing me silent, Brian sneered and said,
My mom's been nagging me to divorce you. She thinks Jenna is prettier, kinder, and can have kids. My mom's always loved Jenna. She'll be so happy now.
It turns out he preferred Jenna from the beginning. I was so sad that I couldn't stop crying.
Well, I've already packed my things, so I'm leaving. I need to go back soon for the sake of the baby.
With that, Brian left the house. I didn't have the strength to stop him. Later, I received the divorce papers from him. Inside was a note written by a woman.
Please divorce my husband as soon as possible.
Seeing those contradictory words, I couldn't help but feel confused. I mean, you're the one who took my husband. I wanted to shout. Seeing those words snapped me back to reality. Why am I the one being blamed? I can't just quietly go through with this divorce. So I decided to take the evidence I had gathered from the detective agency and file for a divorce mediation. A few days after I filed, I received a call from an unknown number. When I answered, a woman's angry voice shouted, "What do you think you're doing? Why did you file a lawsuit?" It was Jenna, Brian's affair partner. Isn't it obvious? I know all about your affair. It's only natural for me to demand compensation.
Compensation? I'm pregnant. How can you be so heartless when I need money for my baby?
Who's the heartless one here? You were involved with a married man and you're blaming me?
It's your fault for being infertile, you jerk.
Her high-pitched voice was grating. Anyway, I'm going to settle the divorce, including compensation, through the proper legal channels. With that, I hung up the phone. Later, in mediation, with the substantial evidence I had gathered, Brian and Jenna's affair was recognized as infidelity. Brian, unhappy with this, hired a lawyer to argue that my infertility was the cause. However, given that it had only been a year and no definitive cause had been found, their argument was dismissed as unreasonable. Brian was ordered to pay me $20,000, and Jenna was ordered to pay $10,000 in compensation, all in a lump sum. I didn't want to drag it out and maintain any strained relationship with them. Thus, our divorce was finalized. However, my suffering didn't end there. Brian, Jenna, and I had attended the same university, so rumors about the affair spread among our friends. According to a close friend, the rumor was that I had hidden my infertility and trapped Brian into marriage. Some people even sympathized with Brian and Jenna. My gosh, this is horrible. Jenna and I also worked at the same company, and rumors spread there as well. Everyone sided with Jenna, the beautiful CEO's daughter, and she would put on the face of a victim with tears in her eyes. Karen is such a horrible person. I'm about to have a baby, and she's taking money from me even though she hid her infertility. She would cry, seeking sympathy. At first, I tried to ignore it, but because Jenna was the CEO's daughter, my boss would scold me saying, "Don't be mean to Jenna." No matter how hard I worked, I was gradually removed from major projects. Eventually, mentally exhausted, I decided to quit. While looking for a new job, I received a headhunting offer from another company. "We need someone as dedicated and talented as you," they said. At my new workplace, I was able to work freely and comfortably, surprising even myself. My new boss took the time to understand each employee individually. Unlike my previous company, there was no favoritism for the CEO's daughter or any kind of nepotism. I was drawn to this wonderful boss. That boss is now my husband, Josh. He kindly supported me when I was at my lowest after the devastating breakup with my ex-husband. After several dinners together, our conversations naturally shifted from work to personal matters, and we began dating. Our relationship went smoothly, and I was grateful when Josh proposed to me. However, given that my ex-husband had left me due to my supposed infertility, I had many anxieties about marriage. I confided in Josh that I might be infertile. Josh looked at me seriously and said, "Of course, I'd be happy if we could have children in the future. But the most important thing is that I love you, Karen. You're the one I care about. So even if we can't have kids, I'll always be by your side." He then gently embraced me. I was truly happy. I realized I wanted to spend my life with this man and decided to marry Josh. Shortly after we got married, we had our first child, Alex. Soon after, our second child, Haley, was born. Maybe the reason I couldn't get pregnant with Brian was due to timing or compatibility. Raising kids is tough, but we are living happily. One day, I attended a friend's wedding. As the event reached its midway point and people started mingling and chatting, I got up to head to the restroom. That's when I saw my ex-husband for the first time in 15 years. Oh my, why the heck is he here? I panicked and my mind went blank. On second thought, it made sense since today's wedding was for a mutual college friend. It couldn't be helped that Brian was there. Trying to ignore him and walk past without being noticed, I heard a loud, "Hey," from behind me. He noticed me. Duh, what do you want?
What do you mean? What do I want? You're here too. You've gotten fat since I last saw you.
Brian, seemingly drunk, spoke loudly, spitting as he talked. You haven't changed at all. Especially your nastiness, I added silently in my head. Then Brian called over his family who were standing behind him. There was Jenna and their son. Jenna looked at me and said with a smile,
Oh, it's been a while. Have you gained weight? Stress eating?
You've been through a lot, huh? I bet no one wants an infertile woman like you.
Their rude remarks left me speechless. I noticed his son standing next to them, looking down and blushing with embarrassment. When I glanced at his face, I saw that he was very handsome.
Oh, I forgot to introduce him. This is my son, David. Isn't he cute, just like Jenna?
Jenna, standing next to him, proudly showed off their son.
David is so handsome, smart, and a genius. Sorry that we're the ones full of happiness.
Brian and Jenna, praising their son and smirking at me, looked down on me with condescending smiles. However, David had an unhappy expression, which caught my attention. He seemed uncomfortable with his parents' demeaning behavior toward others. He must be a kind child, I thought, but I didn't have time to deal with them. As I tried to walk away and return to the wedding, Brian grabbed my arm and stopped me.
Even though we divorced because of your infertility, you had the nerve to take money from us?
Brian still held a grudge about what happened 15 years ago. I should be the one holding a grudge. Then Jenna chimed in.
That's right. Why would an infertile single woman like you need money? Families like ours, raising kids, need it more. Give back the money you took and double it.
I was stunned into silence by their outrageous demands. Just then, their son David spoke up.
Single means not married, right? But she's wearing a wedding ring on her left hand.
David pointed it out, and Brian and Jenna stared at my left ring finger.
What? You're married?
Brian and Jenna shouted loudly, drawing the attention of everyone around us. I felt incredibly embarrassed. As I wondered what to do, a familiar figure appeared in my view.
Excuse me, but you're being disruptive at a joyful event. Could you please be more considerate of others?
Mom, who are these scary-looking people?
Oh, sorry, Alex, Haley. Worried about my late return, Alex and Haley had come to check on me. Haley, always quick to voice her thoughts, was being her usual self, but it was rare for Alex to be so provocative.
Mom, you're late coming back.
What? Mom? You have kids.
Yes, I do. Let me introduce you. This is my son, Alex, and my daughter, Haley. Brian was stunned into silence, shocked that the wife he thought was infertile now had 2 children. Jenna was staring intensely at Alex. After a moment, Jenna muttered in a strained, raspy voice.
That uniform.
She seemed to be focused on Alex's attire. Oh, he came straight here after school with my husband, so he's still in his uniform.
No, that's not what I mean. That uniform is from that prestigious private school.
Oh, yes, Alex is good at studying, and he wanted to take the entrance exam. He passed and has been attending the private school since this year. Alex is talented academically, so he attends a prestigious school in the area.
No way, that can't be your son?
My daughter is planning to take the same school's entrance exam next year.
That's right. And guess what? My brother is amazing. He won a violin competition.
Violin?
I knew I recognized this boy. He was on TV the other day.
Oh, did you see it? Yes, he's been getting a lot of media attention lately. He came here right after violin lesson today.
No, it can't be. This can't be happening.
Brian and Jenna stood there, mouths agape, stunned.
You were supposed to be infertile, so how is this possible?
Seeing Brian's bewilderment, I calmly said, I'm glad to see that you're happy. As you can see, I'm very happy too. Please, let's not have any more interactions. We have no connection anymore. As I started to leave with my children, my husband Josh arrived.
Hey, what are you doing? The main event is about to start again.
Seeing my husband, Brian suddenly turned pale and began to panic.
Josh, the president?
What did you say?
Jenna also looked at my husband and turned pale, her voice trembling.
Your husband is Josh, the young CEO of Echo Corporation who took over last year?
Yes, my husband Josh is the CEO of the parent company of Jenna's father's company. During my job search, I was headhunted by the parent company and made the switch. That's where I met Josh, who had always been well respected and highly skilled. Last year, he was appointed CEO on the recommendation of the former CEO.
Yes, that's me. But what's going on here? Why the tense atmosphere?
Sensing something was wrong, Josh looked puzzled and Alex spoke up.
We heard these people calling Mom infertile and fat, so Haley and I came to help her.
You heard that. It seemed Alex and Haley had overheard Brian and Jenna's rude comments. That's why Alex was being so provocative earlier.
Could it be that you are?
Josh's face suddenly turned stern as he connected the dots with the word infertility.
I had heard rumors, but I never imagined these people could be so rude.
Brian suddenly began to make excuses to Josh.
No, Josh. I would never speak ill of your wife. Right, Jenna?
Why are you groveling? This woman's husband. I had an affair with you, and because of her, I was scolded by my father and had a terrible time. I will never forgive her.
Jenna, don't you understand? If Josh dislikes us, our company is done. Think about that.
Brian, realizing the danger of being on Josh's bad side, started groveling, while Jenna, who couldn't accept this, began to argue. I was completely taken aback by the situation. Then, David, who had been silent, shouted out,
Stop it already. I've been listening, and both of you are terrible.
You called this person fat and infertile and then demanded money back. I'm ashamed. And what's this about an affair? Does that mean I'm a child born from an affair? Am I unwanted?
Hearing David's tearful plea, Brian and Jenna started to panic.
Oh, well, that's not.
Well, I say.
I noticed the other guests staring at us. Jenna finally realized the attention she was getting and looked down, her face turning red. Despite my resentment towards Brian and Jenna, I admired their son, David, for his strong sense of justice and kindness. This child had nothing to do with their wrongdoings. I was about to console David, but Josh spoke first.
Thank you for defending my wife from their hurtful words. You're a truly good kid.
He said, patting David on the head. I smiled and added, but maybe the part about being fat is true.
No, it's not.
Well, actually, I'm pregnant. My belly is getting bigger, I said, patting my stomach. I was pregnant with our third child and currently on maternity leave. I turned to David, who was still teary-eyed, and said, Your mom also carried you with great care and love. You are not an unwanted child. Your mom and dad love you very much and are proud of you. Isn't that right? I looked at Brian and Jenna. David followed suit, asking, Really? Brian and Jenna hurriedly nodded and said, Yes, of course. We're so proud of you. David beamed with a smile, and I felt relieved.
Today is a special day. Let's all go back to our seats.
Josh said, and we all returned to our tables. The tense moment had ended. As the wedding concluded and we headed to the car, Brian, Jenna, and David approached us, holding hands. Alex and Haley glared at the couple, but Josh calmed them with a smile.
We are sorry.
Really, we're sorry for everything, including today. And thank you for what you did for David earlier.
It was the first time in 15 years that I had heard an apology from them. Perhaps having a child had changed them a little. I smiled and said, It's really too late for that. Well then, I said, turning to walk away. Alex offered to carry my bag with a maternity badge to let others know of pregnancy, and Haley draped a jacket over my shoulders, showing concern for me as a pregnant woman.
All right. Let's have Dad's homemade hamburgers for dinner tonight, Alex and Haley's favorite.
Yay! Thank you. As I vowed to protect the smiles of my beloved family, I walked away from the painful memories of the past.